While it may be cold outside, things are getting toasty warm at Global Voice Broadcasting. Heat up your winter nights with the hottest topics, the hottest celebrities, and today's best music. It's why Global Voice Broadcasting is becoming your 24/7 home for the music and talk you want right now. Discover your favorite shows and music anytime at globalvoicebroadcasting.com. Welcome to the world of Cabaret, the world where Broadway, jazz, comedy, and pop share the spotlight, and a 2-drink minimum. With your host, producer, director Clifford Bell, keeping the world safe for live performances in intimate settings on Global Voice Broadcasting.
And welcome back. Welcome to the little podcast that could. Cabaret here on Global Voice Broadcasting, my weekly rumination on all things relevant to the nightclub experience, the live entertainment in intimate settings. Happy holidays to everybody. We're beginning our holiday season, and I have a very special show for you today. I am really, really glad to have these gentlemen in the studio with us today. I'd like to introduce you to Bryan Miller and Mr. Gilmore Rizzo. And they are individually and collectively both fascinating citizens of the land I call Cabaret. Bryan is one of the most renowned quintessential piano bar entertainers in Los Angeles and has been for literally decades. It's its own unique art form. He does many other things. He's a musical director for many things. He's been an actor. It has a lot of offshoots to his talent, but one of the things we're going to talk about with him today here is his extensive background in the piano bar world. Hi, Bryan.
Hi, Clifford.
Welcome. We'll be back to you in just a second to talk about that. But next to him, we also have Mr. Gilmore Rizzo, who is a extremely gorgeous singer, one of the most beautiful singers you've ever hear. Actor, musical theater actor. Done a lot of television, done a lot of producing, and they have individual separate careers, and they also work quite a bit together, and they also have spent their lives together romantically for the last many years. So welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
I thought that probably the best way to tell your stories is to start individually and focus on Bryan first, and then we'll come around to do the same with Gilmore, and then we'll meet and marry you off.
Okay.
And bring
Free
us
for all at the end.
and bring us up to the present. So I personally have known Bryan for many, many, many years. Bryan used to be an institution, as I say, at the Oasis on Ventura Boulevard. Tell us a little bit about that. That was a time and place unto itself, that place.
It really was. I really loved playing at the Oasis, and I played there for more than a dozen years.
Yeah.
Well, actually, when I first played on Ventura Boulevard, I played across the street from the place that became the Oasis.
Oh, right.
At a place called the Iron Horse. This is 1974.
Right.
And
so you are a Valley kid.
Yep, I grew up in Reseda.
Yes, we discussed.
And it became a piano bar that the first time I played there, it was called Bert's Cocktail Lounge, and it was 1978, I guess. It reopened as the Oasis in the early 90s and was open till, I think, 2002, 2003.
Well, you've seen it all. I mean, you go back. It was interesting when we were talking back in the green room before the show. Gilmore made the point about that in the old days, the piano bar was more of a singular entertainer. You yourself were the entertainment, less so than like the kind of open mics they've become now, the kind of sing-along
it's
karaoke.
become sort of, piano baroque.
Yeah, right.
That you really would go in to listen to Houston Allred or Michael Feinstein or Rudy, or
and you came up with. I mean, when you started, it was also Michael Feinstein was around playing piano bar. John Bacchino, for anybody. I mean, for me, I think of John Bacchino as this very, very sophisticated New York intellectual kind of. he strikes me as such an introverted guy that I just recently found out he used to live in L.A. and play piano bar. That is so hilarious to me.
Yeah, he played at both the Academy and at Main Street during the time that I was there.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember Michael from those days as well. I've known Michael, used to see him in places 25 years ago, long before he became what he is now. So the Oasis. So how did you find your way to? I mean, I think back to that place was so popular you could not walk in. That was standing room only every night.
It was packed.
That was a great. Well, we had our off nights too, but all in all, it really was a terrific place. At the time that the Oasis opened, I was playing down the street at a place called Keith's. So I was actually just moving down the block. I sort of worked all up and down Ventura Boulevard during that period of time in the 80s and early 90s.
Now, you were telling me about one funny side trip you took. I know that growing up in Reseda, you never did any other kind of work other than going straight to the piano bar and making a name for yourself like that. But you were telling me about a stint as an actor in Let My People Come. Tell us about that. I'm particularly interested in the nude scenes.
Let My People Come. I saw an ad in Variety, or actually somebody called me and called my attention to this ad in Variety, that they were looking for a male Bette Midler for this musical review that was going to open at the Whiskey. And it turned out to be Let My People Come, which had been already playing for over a year in New York, in the Village, at the Village Gate.
Right.
And I auditioned for it, and I got the part, and I had a great song in the show. It was called Take Me Home With You. And also I had a duet in the show called I'm Gay, which was a kid writing to his parents and, coming out to them.
Right.
And so I was very well featured in the show, and I got some very nice notices from the Hollywood Reporter.
A lot of exposure.
Yes, that's true. I got a lot of exposure. And so that led to my joining the New York cast, and ultimately the 4 months at the Morosco Theater on Broadway, swinging my
baton.
My baton, yes.
Yes. And it also led to a relationship that you still have to this day with Terry White.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Well, Terry rehearsed with the LA show, with the LA cast, but she was joining the show at the Gate because it was running concurrently. So I got to know Terry somewhat during that time.
And this was long before Barnum, where she
this was
made her name for herself.
1975 probably. So I'd say 3-4 years before Barnum.
Yeah.
And but Terry was already so funny and so talented. You could see this, she had it going on. Right. And so through the years, we were always sort of marginally in touch. We had mutual friends, and and I saw her, of course, in Barnum, and whenever she was in town, I would usually sort of say hello, or if I were in New York, go to see her at Rose's Turn, where she performed at the Village for so many years. Right. And then when she was out here with Follies, she was looking to do her club act here, and she asked me to be her musical director.
Nice.
Which is so interesting to me, because when I first started doing piano bar, I was very uncertain of my piano playing.
I know.
It's become something that I became good at. Just over the years.
Practice. I mean, considering how frequently you play, I mean, to this day, you're 3 or 4 nights performing someplace, basically.
Try to be.
You're everywhere. I want to back up and catch up on some graphics. My man Gabe here, will you please show us the first picture of Bryan and Gilmore? This is just a picture of the two of you performing. Look at you, gents. And then now I have the next one is these cute computer cartoons people are doing. Bryan and Gilmore sharing the stage of life together. What is that? What is that format?
It's bit strips on Facebook, and I learned how to do it, and now it's been a compulsion and addiction.
You're graphic designing, which will probably bring us to the one I call Bryan Miller Busby Berkeley. Nope.
I can't see
There it is. Brian, yeah, it's Bryan Miller.
Yes, it's picture from the other side.
Oh, right. That used to be on the screen behind me when I played at the other side, where I played for also 15 odd years.
Bryan has played and closed many venues.
They just sell them out from under me. And
well, let's go to the next clip. This is Bryan. I call him Little Cowboy. Look at you. Although it actually looks a little more Mexican. What kind of outfit you have on there? Do you know what picture I'm talking about?
I think so. I call it the gay caballero.
That's the one.
How could they not have known it? I'm like 3 years old. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. Next picture. This is Bryan in doing Yentl.
Bar mitzvah.
That was the. My mother took that picture. It was the cover of my bar mitzvah invitation.
All right. And then here we have you.
I was bar mitzvah in Canoga Park
as a kid playing piano. Look at you. Look how adorable you are.
Oh, my parents' living room. Yes.
We still have that piano.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's in our house.
Next we have Amazingly Lifelike. Now this is a CD, right?
Oh, that was the most nerve-wracking night of my life to record a live CD.
Tell us about it.
Well, that was a great situation. It was something, I think Mary Jo Mundy started that. It was called NoHo Live. It was this, I don't think they're doing it anymore, but you could invite a live audience to this studio.
Oh, right.
And
I heard about that.
Yeah, and they would record a live album. So you had one night to get it right. And that
you'd been practicing your whole life to do that, so you're probably fine.
It was. It really turned out pretty well. You know, the opening number is still hard for me to listen to because I can hear that I'm nervous. But as the album goes on, I settle in, and I mostly like it. But I'm not somebody who likes to look at it or listen to myself.
And he doesn't like to blow his own horn. And the thing about Bryan is this CD shows what he does best, which is entertaining and his piano bar work, and it's a patter and songs he's done over the years.
Yes, you've got all the slick little jokes.
And yes, absolutely, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Yeah,
I love the composer bit. That's the thing I'm probably proudest of, and Heart and Soul. So yeah, there are things on it I like a lot that I think turned out well.
So it's so gratifying to me to have you guys here. One of my favorite things about doing this show is that one of the reasons why I wanted to do this show is that I'm a real veteran. I've been around in the nightclub world, particularly in Los Angeles. I've worked somewhat in New York, but particularly in Los Angeles for 30 years. I mean, really, 30 years. And I know everybody else that's worked those same 3 decades and everything that's happened to us and the lives we've lived and the way we've all intersected. And it's a very rich and important community to me.
It really is.
And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this show is because I wanted people to be able to discover all of us who have been here in the trenches for a very long time. I think there's such value to our years of experience ahead of the other people that are just doing it now. Like I see the great things that are cropping up, like Kate Pazakis is this fabulous Broadway girl who does something at Rockwell and something called Standing Room Only, and all these really killer Broadway type talents are doing. There's a whole resurgence among the younger people discovering, piano bar open mics as a way to get discovered, as a way to be seen, and it's just very gratifying for me to be like the old coot,
right,
you know what I mean, and to know so much about it. Yeah. I was at an awards ceremony at the Biltmore for Quincy Jones, and he came out, and he's quite old, and he came out and he said, my favorite thing about being this old is you get to see how things turned out.
Yeah.
And I've had that has rattled around in my brain ever since. That's so profound to me. You get to see how things have turned out.
I love that.
And I feel that about us. I feel like we have so much. And, when your peer group has been Michael Feinstein and John Bacchino and all of that, I think it's just such a rich community to be a part of. And I want people to know all of you. I want people to meet you.
Well, and I feel that way too. When I met Gilmore, he had a lot of theater credits, but he had not ever done cabaret.
Yeah.
He'd always...
To me, Cabaret was a movie that starred Liza Minnelli and
Right.
Joel Grey.
No, he was a very accomplished performer and a terrific singer. I mean, I recognized his talent, which was why
I'll say you did.
and I'm relatively a newbie. I mean, 19 years, but I theater to me was you immerse yourself in a character and you get to hide behind the words of other authors. When you go into cabaret, you are so exposed and vulnerable. You have to be yourself, and that was so new to me.
That was the thing that I discovered is, particularly doing piano bar, is if people spend 4 hours with you, they're going to see who you really are.
Right.
They're going to see you.
Right.
And that requires a certain amount of courage, I guess, a certain amount of bravery, or a certain amount of knowledge of who you really are.
Yeah. And a willingness to be seen.
Yes.
For who you are.
Yes.
Which brings us to Mr. Rizzo here. Hello.
Hello.
Gabe, will you hit us with that first picture, please? Gilmore Graphic. That's your name, just because I thought that was pretty. Gilmore.
And he does amazing.
Is that from the Gilmore gasoline pump?
Yes. I just thought it was pretty.
Roar with Gilmore.
Okay, next picture. I call this one Gilmore Rizzo Matinee Idol. Look how handsome you are.
Okay. Well, that's from Chew on This.
That's from Chew on This.
1997,
Yeah.
yep.
So tell us, so you were a theater actor.
Yes, I was in the theater.
In the theater.
And so when I met Bryan, that was, of course, was you had this attitude that theater was the end-all, be-all, and then he introduced me to this entire community in a different world of cabaret, and I was so impressed with the number of storytellers. To me, it's the construction of a cabaret act that I am most impressed with. And my very first experience was at the Cinegrill. Wayne Moore and Bryan Miller said, "You need to put your own show together." And of course, I was scared to death because I had to be Gilmore Rizzo up on that stage, and I wasn't behind a character. And I said, I don't know. I have to feel comfortable in the kind of music I'm singing. And Wayne said, "What kind of music do you like?" And I said, "I like bubblegum music." That went over like a lead balloon. And he said, "Well, wait a minute. What do you see happening?" And I said, "Well, most people are embarrassed when they talk about loving the Carpenters or Donnie and Marie or the Brady Bunch." And he said, That's good. What else do you see?" And I said, "Well, don't make it apologetic, but give it an attitude." And he said, "Great. How do you see that?" And the conceit became, it's a Bubblegums Anonymous meeting, and the audience was there to praise this kind of music. And at the end, everyone gets a bubblegum card that they sign that they're going to uphold and defend this music to the death until they're... And I got to work with 3 incredible backup females at that time, Brenda Silas Moore and Deitch Homer and Marilyn Rising. And then we did a resurgent of it in 2012. And I got to work with Barbara Shane and Darcy Monet and the incomparable Pat Whiteman, whose voice just goes right through you. And for cabaret acts, it's the construction that I noticed when I would see my very first meeting of knowing a Clifford Bell was when I went to go see Mary Jo Mundy at the Cinegrill. And I saw this incredible, well-constructed act, and it was directed by Clifford Bell. And that name, Clifford Bell, kept coming up, and it was always behind these incredibly beautiful constructed, shows. Then I got to hear other cabaret, when I got to see Andrea Marcovici, another person who you leave there fully entertained.
She knows how to construct
You leave educated, and it's so informative, and it's fun, and it's just, you leave there, it's like a little musical that you've just witnessed, this little gem.
Yeah.
And then I noticed some people know how to put that kind of show together, and some people don't. And those stick out like a sore thumb. Clifford has invited me to a couple of his, what do they call? You call them their salons. And
Yes,
it's the putting together of a show, and it's so brilliant because you see where they still need a little bit of rehearsal and where it's really tight, and the construction has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And that's what I'm so impressed about the cabaret community, because it takes a lot. You do a lot of research, and you know dates, and you know composers, and you know lyricists, and it's something that an audience will leave going, "I didn't know that about that particular singer."
had the feeling they'd been on a journey.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And it's not just stringing songs. I like this song because no. There's some background and some meat to what they're saying.
So I want to catch up on a couple pictures here. Gabe hit me with the one, Gilmore Rizzo singing. Look at him.
Another baby picture.
No, big bandy. And then Gilmore Rizzo in Houndstooth, I call this one.
Oh.
I love that.
That was a performance for the Four Friends.
And now I'm going to show the graphic of That's Amore. So talking about putting an act together that's well constructed, tell us about your show, That's Amore.
I consider this his crown jewel.
Yes.
I did a guest appearance at the Gardenia, and I was wearing a black suit and a white tie, and I sang a Dean Martin song. And Wayne Moore approached me and said, you ought to think about doing an Italian show. Some kind of Rat Packy thing. And that didn't interest me. It has to really touch me. I don't do impersonations, so it has to be something that I can attach myself to that music and why I'm singing it and where it comes from, the origin. And so we got together and we went through a few of the songs that I heard growing up as a kid. And then I realized, putting them into sections, I used to listen to this group of songs with my grandparents and this group of songs with my sister and this with my mom. Well, I also realized that it was mostly women because they're the strength of an Italian family. They're the link that holds it together. And what else holds a family together? An Italian family, it's food. So it's the music and the family and the food, and it's something I'm very proud of because it shows the strength of an Italian family, their loyalty, and the kind of music. Because I thought I was the only person who didn't think this music was corny. Well,
so Gabe, show us the Italian feast picture and tell us about this.
The show is actually divided into courses.
Oh yes, it has an appetizer, a soup and salad, and an entree and a dessert, and then of course somebody in the audience wins a big basket.
So you've had several successful engagements of this show.
Yes,
one of which was recently at the
San Gennaro Italian Festival in Hollywood. We were on
a big deal on
the big Jimmy Kimmel stage, huge, and lots of food. You can go there and eat your way through the day. And we did a basic concert version of it, just the songs and a little bit of storytelling. And it was heartwarming to me to see people get up, know the music that we were singing, and dance on their dance floor. The amount of applause. It was I can see how addictive that can be to be a concert singer, because you have that huge venue. There were thousands of people there screaming and yelling and applauding and knowing that music. And of course you bring it forward and you give it a nice little twist when it has to do with your own personal story and your own family.
So let's we have a demo reel here from the That's Amore show. So let's watch a little of that.
Hello, this is Danny Bonaducci. With a name like Bonaducci, how much more Italian can you get? I'll tell you how. My friend Gilmore Rizzo has a show called That's Amore, an American-Italian songbook.
Buonasera! Buonasera! Mi piace essere italiano. Adoro la musica americana di italiano. I love being Italian.
100% Italian Gilmore is cousin to American-Italian singer Bobby Darin and American-Italian jazz flugelhorn player Chuck Mangione. That's Amore pays tribute to 4 important women in his life. That's Amore is filled with stories about childhood memories.
I broke her heart when I gave up my aspirations of becoming a concert pianist at the age of 6. One day my sister was sitting in her room and she said, "Moochie!" Yeah, Moochie was my nickname. That's Grandma's favorite song. So I sang it right for that night, but tonight, I'm going to sing it exactly the way I hear it.
That's Amore has some of the best Italian songs ever written.
Yes, yes, yes.
Tonight is mine.
La, la, la,
Santa Lucia. Return to Me. Peppino the Italian Mouse, Mama, Bella Notte, Tina Marie, That's Amore, and many, many more. Your audiences will love That's Amore, an American-Italian songbook. With its universal themes and appeal, you don't have to be Italian to appreciate this musical journey of family, food, and culture. Book this show today. You'll be glad you did. This is Danny Bonaducci. Ciao.
Oh, I don't know. Let's get Danny Bonaducci to do the voiceover.
Well, we're friends with the Bonaducci family,
Yes.
and Betty Bonaducci, their mom, came in to see Bryan play at a piano bar, and we became friends instantly.
She not only came in to see me, she got up and belted out.
Still does, and still does.
Yeah.
And her daughter, Celia Bonaducci, is one of my favorite directors. She has directed everything from children's shows for Nickelodeon, and now she's working at MTV, Home and Garden Television, and just an amazingly talented family. And I asked if we could have Danny do a voiceover for me so I can get this promoted, and he graciously said, absolutely, I would do it for you. John Bonaducci, his brother, is now in my show. He's one of my Goombas. And I feel like Bette Midler with her harlots, coming and going. And the one consistent has been cabaret singer Todd Makovsky, who, if you ever have a chance to work with him, he is so strong. He comes in, he knows his stuff. He's just a brilliant performer.
Yeah, wonderful talent. Great guy.
And he was naked on stage, too.
Right,
naked voice singing, yeah.
Yes, great.
Yes.
He did naked voice singing.
Yeah, he's quite a talent.
All right. Well, let me. I need to drive off the ditch here for just a few minutes to do my little listing section.
Ooh, okay.
Which I like to call 1001 Caribbean Nights. Actually, I just have a couple things to tell you all about this week. We're in the throes of the holiday season, and I'm only doing a couple things right now. Shows that I knew would be fantastic and worth getting into the competing. What everybody's got so much to do, but tomorrow night, if you're listening to this live, tomorrow night, Tuesday, December 17th. I'm doing an evening at Jazz Upstairs at Vitello's that is going to be so great. During the course of running these shows, I've sort of developed a theme called At the Corner of Jazz and Cabaret, which addresses the ever-increasing evolution of the merging between the jazz world and the jazz sensibility and the cabaret sensibility. So I got some real heavy hitters. I got Mark Winkler, Dolores Scorsese, Chambers Herbert and Ellis, Sean Ryan, Jeffrey Gimbel, Jackie Gibson, and Karen Benjamin and Alan Chapman. I mean,
Great people.
Literally
Yes.
an all-stars evening. Jameson Trotter is going to be the musical director, brilliant pianist. John Belzeguy is on bass, and Tom Bowe on drums, and it is going to be musical heaven up at Jazz Upstairs at Vitello's tomorrow night, Tuesday, December 17th, if you're listening to this live. And then on the weekend, Saturday, December 21st, we're having a Caribbean Christmas, co-hosted with my young protege, Alexandra Theodora Spurlock, and featuring Andrew Apple, Mary Pat Bowe, Chambers Herbert and Ellis, Jackie Gibson, Polaris Rose, Robin Spangler, and more. More. It's basically going to be just a big Christmas party at the M Bar, so hopefully you'll come on down for that. All right, back to these gents. So tell me how you met.
People think did you guys meet in a bar? How did we met in church.
Right?
Yep.
I was playing Wednesday nights at the North Hollywood Church of Religious Science.
Yes.
And
See, God rewarded you.
I guess so.
My mom had just passed, and I was looking. There was something I needed to fill, and so I went back to the Catholic church and went, "Oh, that's not for me." And then a friend of mine said, "No, you have to come to my church. You'll find something there." And I went on a Wednesday night, and Bryan came walking in, and I thought, "Wow,
And he found a little something
who is
there.
that?" And I walked up to him and I said, "I collect sheet music." And he said, "Oh, I have a lot of sheet music." And I said, "Well, I'd love to see what you have." And he said, "Well, I have a gig tonight, so maybe if you're here next Wednesday, we can see if we can work that out." And the following Wednesday, I went home with him.
I didn't know if he was going to come back the next
Well,
week.
I was also wearing this wedding ring, so he thought I was straight.
Well, I didn't know,
And what was the first thing I said?
Oh, he came up to me and said, "Your butt looks really good in those jeans." Straight
so
guys
much-
don't
so
usually
much
say
for the
that to you.
straights.
Yeah.
Oh, and his friend Jeff was there, and he said, Bryan, show Gilmore your Betty Davis Christmas album," which is
was
this
the
commercial that he does.
It's this comedy bit that I do. But the last thing I've been kind of looking at him, and Gilmore he still is so handsome. No, you still are. But I mean. The last thing I wanted to do was act like a big old queen in front of this handsome guy.
Yeah, try to save the Betty Davis impersonation for the second day.
Right.
And I actually found it quite charming, and I thought, oh my God, he's funny, and and of course, up until that point, I had never heard of cabaret, I had never heard of piano bar, and the next night, that was I went into the.
I'm sure you did.
I went into the Oasis, and there he was, and he was. Oh, it was like a different world. People were singing and laughing, and people got up and did background vocals. He did Old Cape Cod, and they had all the choreography, and it was interesting because he was able to hold this room with his comedy and his poignancy of ballads. And I was introduced to a whole world of cabaret from Houston Allred, Laurie Donato, David Snyder.
David Snyder.
Yep.
I love him.
Oh, David. When I first met David, I was playing at Mr. Mike's. This is probably 1983, 84. And this kid walked in, and he did not look old enough to be in the bar.
Yes.
I mean,
Baby
David actually
He still
was
looks like a
21.
boy.
I know, but at that point, David looked about 12.
Right.
And he's, somebody told me, that he played and sang, and he sat in, and he was great. He was terrific,
Right.
and I was immediately impressed with his talent.
You know that song that I brought you that you liked that I wrote?
Yeah.
He and I wrote that together.
You're in Now. It's a great song,
Yes,
too.
thank you.
And 8 years into our relationship, Bryan said, "You want to have a commitment ceremony?" And I said, No. And then 10 years, he said, "You want to have a commitment ceremony?" And I said, No. Because if it's not going to be real, if it's not going to be legal, I don't want to do it. I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste my friend's time. I don't want to waste money. Then in 2008, we saw on the news that it was going to be legal in the state of California, and he looked at me and proposed by saying,
Gabe hit us with a pick.
he said, "You wanna?" It's so romantic.
And therefore, we had our big gay Jewish Italian.
Well, when you get two musical comedy queens together, yep.
wedding.
Yep, we
You
had
got a
to have
musical.
and we had a full
Next
one act
picture, Gabe.
musical that culminated into the ceremony.
All right, now I have not one but two clips from this. It actually is online, like 35 minutes of it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, the whole thing?
is
Yeah, we're just going to show a little bit. So, Gabe, hit us with a first video, please, and we'll just see the first bit. The setup.
Come to a joint decision. Go!
He's right. We're completely at an impasse because we can't decide whose culture to honor.
It should be mine. My nationality's food is infinitely better than yours. And besides, no one has ever cut their foot at an Italian wedding. This isn't at all as I envisioned. Look at that. Tinkerbell, cute olive oil. I heard that. I wanted something romantic and beautiful.
All right. So, Gabe, let's go ahead and throw up the next put up display feature.
News where if you're in a gay wedding, you become gay.
You're worried about turning gay and you just admitted listening to Fox News? I'd rather be gay than stupid. Now, you're probably wondering why I can hear what you're thinking. Well, it's just all a part of being the best wedding planner on earth. I can read minds, Daddy. Now, the next exchange of dialogue came from an actual conversation. Let's listen.
Are you sure you really want to get married to me?
Why would you say something like that?
Oh, honey, you're doing a hell of a lot better than me.
Are you kidding? Bryan, you add so much to my life. That's why I love you.
Well, I have to admit, you made my life a lot richer. You keep things interesting.
The way you make me feel like I belong. The way you make me right when I am wrong. The way you sacrifice just for me. Just how lucky can one man be? That's why. I love you so. That is why. I love you so. Come on now, Bryan. That's why I love you so. Yeah. I want the world to know.
The way you rub my back when I'm in pain. The way you soothe me so I don't complain. And when you kiss me with your sweet lips, thrills me so I turn back on the stairs, and that's why. That's why I love you so. That's why I love you so. That's why I love you so. Yeah. I want the world to know.
If Shakespeare thought that Juliet really loved Romeo from the time that they met, he would blow his top if he could see just how you've been loving me. The way you rub my back when I'm in pain. The way you soothe me so I don't complain.
And when you kiss me with your sweet warm lips, thrills me so I turn back on the stairs, that's why. That's why I love you so. That's why. That's why I love you so. That's why I love you so.
Yeah. I want the world to know that's why. That's why I love you so. That's why. That's why I love you so. Now, Bryan. That's why I love you so. Yeah. I want the world to know.
Well,
Not your typical wedding.
well, if there is any truth to that, that homosexuals recruit, I think that should be our propaganda material.
Well, I got to tell you that it was before the vote of Prop 8, and we had changed minds. There were a couple conservative couples who came to us and said we were going to vote yes, and because of this, we're going to vote no. So we changed minds, and they said everybody should see this, because even though the front part of the wedding was the conceit was it was the day before, so it was the rehearsal, and everything that was going wrong could go wrong, and I wanted it to be traditional, and yet we had the gayest wedding planner played by the incredible Michael Taylor Gray.
Yeah.
We had Bob Mackie costumes in our show. It was directed by the very talented Ginny McMath, who got my writing. She said, "This is a farce. People are running in. This is perfect." And then that was all the silliness, and then the ceremony was the happiest day of my life. Mm-hmm. I cannot tell you how much. We had 25 people in the cast, all of our dearest friends, and my woman of honor.
People who agreed to sing and dance.
Yes. They said it was the most rehearsals they've ever had for any show.
They had to work.
My woman of honor, Lori Savage, said, I'm going to help you do this. So she did so much backstage and for the reception, and I owe her so much because she took that lot of weight off our shoulders.
Well, I've got to give Gilmore credit too, because he's the one who really wrote and conceived the,
Yeah, I said, here, dear,
I learned
learn
my
this.
lines. And, yeah, exactly. Showed up.
You did what you were supposed to do.
I did what I was told, right?
Good husband.
So that brings us up to today, and one of the things about today is that you guys individually and collectively are sort of a cottage industry. You have lots of different diversified shows that you offer. You still can be booked doing Chew on This.
Yes, Chew on This.
You can still be booked doing That's Amore. I know I just went to see Gilmore and Francesca Amare, who is a young woman who I have worked with myself. I've directed one of her shows.
That's a lovely show. I love it.
And they just did a show. Bryan musical directed, and Gilmore co-starred. A couple of swells. Actually, let's see. Oh, I've gone faster than I can cue Gabe. So Gabe, let's go back to Chew on This. Number 1. So there's some art for Chew on This bubblegum show.
Bubblegum show.
Yeah. And then next, Gilmore and Francesca, couple of swells.
We pay tribute to legendary couples and duos and variety shows. And it's just
art.
It's just a fast-paced Valentine to that genre of entertainment.
Yeah, I saw it a couple of weeks ago. It was wonderful.
Thank you.
And then also something else that they've done for 20 years, right? How long is the four? Tell me about the Four Friends.
Well, I've been with Bryan going on 19, so
yes.
I think
Okay.
about...
So I think Four Friends sort of came into being around 2000.
Because we would always get booked for these benefits. Wayne Moore and Brenda Silas Moore and Bryan and Gilmore, and we'd see each other at these places and say, well, why aren't we working together? Because we're constantly...
So Wayne got serious and started writing some arrangements for us. And
Wayne Moore is brilliant when it comes to arranging background vocals, and he did all the arrangements for Chew on This, all of the arrangements for That's Amore, and for all the Four Friends shows.
So, Gabe, Four Friends Halloween. One of the things you've been doing for many years is the Halloween show.
Traditionally,
at the Gardenia. How long has that been going on?
Well, Wayne and Brenda have been doing it since
the 80s.
since
Yeah,
birth.
that's what I was thinking was for forever.
yeah.
But it's been Four Friends since then. And then here's a place that our paths intersected recently,
Which I loved.
I myself, for my own amusement, have a 4-person singing group that I have with Andrea Press, something we just did as friends. Andrea Press, Mary Pat Bowe, and Kelly Yearout. And we've been performing for 3 or 4 years now, calling ourselves Foreplay. And one night, I can't remember how it exactly came up, but we got the crazy idea to be 4x4. And Foreplay did an evening with 4 friends. And it was so fun.
It really was. I had a ball.
Wasn't it amazingly fun?
It was it was nice to see the two groups, very diverse, musical styles, and it was a very enjoyable evening of entertainment.
It was just like the Supremes and the Temptations in the 60s. That's what it felt like. And then Bryan and Gilmore continue on, Gabe, next picture, to be available as a duo. You guys have, a repertoire of 1,002 songs?
Well, we do a lot of
currently
this
doing Macchianos
at the Grove.
At the Grove. The
last Sunday of every month. We're hoping for more nights. But we do the senior
picture?
communities. We do private parties.
I'm not seeing it.
Corporate events. And we'll sing at the opening of a refrigerator. So.
If they'll have us, we'll show up.
Show us the money. The thing that I love about the cabaret community is that you can have your own variety show anytime you want. You can do an American songbook. You can do a theme, whether it's a Motown or a specific composer or lyricist, and you take your audience on that journey. And I find anybody who does the cabaret circuit intelligent, smart, funny. It's everything that you bring to the table when you're on that stage by yourself for an hour and change. Mm-hmm. And I'm so glad that there's this particular outlet to introduce people online what we have.
I've met some amazing people and
it's so
seen
important.
some amazing talent, that's for sure.
You had mentioned Francesca and her show.
Yeah, tell us about the Maggiano.
The thing, she's going to be with us on the 29th of this month, and we're going to be doing a lot of the duet show
That's December for anybody who's
December
watching
29th.
this in archives.
And she's going to be doing songs from her Gilda Radner show. And if you have any opportunity, you have to see Francesca on stage, whether it's her Women in My Head, where she sings a tribute to all the women who inspired her, or if it's her Tin Pan and Rags show, her Guilty Pleasures. She has a Guilty Pleasures show. I've got a Guilty Pleasures show, my Bubblegum show, and we get together and it's the amount of energy that when we connect mentally, it just bubbles over, and I'm so inspired by her. Check her out.
Francesca Amari.
Yes, a fellow paisano.
We'll expect a check from her.
And Bryan, tell us, there's a few places around town you continue to do piano bar. Tell us where we can find you.
I'm doing Wednesday nights at MJ's in Silver Lake, which is on Hyperion and Rowena. I'm doing Monday nights, I'll be there tonight, at Studs Lounge.
At Studs Lounge.
Don't let the name fool you.
Yeah, it's such a misnomer. It's a little neighborhood bar, but they've just redecorated and redone it. It really looks lovely, and it's a nice little spot. So don't let the name be off-putting. Come on in and sing with me. And you also the Lyric Hyperion Theater.
The second and fourth Saturday of every month, he is there. And it's a little black box theater, and it's so charming and intimate, and it's like putting on a little show. Because people are not there holding their iPods to read the lyrics. They come up and they perform.
Also, they're not drinking and talking in a bar. They're really there for the music.
Yeah.
Which is,
I loved it.
Yeah.
I came to see you there a couple times. Mr. Zweiback has brought me. And
Elliot.
I don't like uncontrolled environments, and it was what I liked about it. It was a very sacred space. People really listen, and they're really into it, and there was a tremendous feeling of warmth.
But next time I want you to sing.
Well, I don't know about that. But they'll have to start serving alcohol for me.
I'm glad you mentioned Elliot, because I love how he's putting the word out there about the cabaret community as well. I mean, he's always such a staunch supporter.
Yes, we love our pal, Mr. Elliot Zweiback. Yes. Elliot with a Z, as I have come to call him.
I was in that show.
Yes, you were, very beautifully. So we're coming to our last few minutes here. I always like to give everybody an opportunity to say any final thoughts. Any goodbye, closing
I want to say
wisdoms.
Thank you for letting us be a part of this. And I've enjoyed your interviews, and the word is getting out, and I'm so happy you're doing it.
Well, thank you.
And I'm actually grateful just for having all these years of performing and meeting amazing people and working with wonderfully creative people and their energy and I'm happy to still be in the game.
Right.
You know?
There's something to be said for that. I always think that if time is money, then isn't age good? You know what I mean? It's like, if time is money, isn't it great to have some years on you? I'm a big fan of being older. It's not always comfortable.
No, it does have its little discomforts,
but I'm a big fan of accumulating time, and yet another reason why I'm grateful to share the studio here with you, with veterans, people who have been around. I really like that. So let us take a moment to thank our landlord here, my beloved pal, Mr. Todd Murray, who runs the joint, Global Voice Broadcasting.
Thank you, Todd.
My associate producer, Tricia Trippett, who is in absentia today, and my beloved pal, Cecilia Rodriguez, who's helping out in that capacity, and the Global Voice Broadcasting Operations Manager, who is my in-studio engineer, Gabe Harder.
Brilliant! Brilliant!
Thank you, and we'll see you all next week.
Happy holidays.
And so it seems that we have met before and laughed before.